Good morning, brothers and sisters. How are you guys doing? We're all connected in spite of how we feel about each other. We're all God's kids. I'm Michelle, and I'm going to be reading from Jim Stevens' book today. It's called 101 Proofs for the Existence of God. And, it's called 101 Proofs for God, but that's what they are. Each and every one of them proves the existence of God, absolutely. So I'm going to be reading chapter 87, and it's called Pain. Okay? So I want us to get through this with some clear understanding as quickly as possible. I have to prepare to go to the inauguration tomorrow. All right, let's get started. Thank God for pain. Nobody ever said. However, you are about to learn why we can in fact recognize that a loving God created us, because we have the incredible ability that allows us to feel pain. There are about 20 documented cases of American children born with a genetic defect called congenital insensitivity to pain. It makes them unable to feel any pain at all. This becomes one continuous nightmare for their parents. Congenital insensitivity to pain, or CIP, also known as congenital analgesia, is one or more rare conditions in which a person cannot feel and has never felt physical pain. It is an extremely dangerous condition. In my footnotes, Jim says, I reference a video of a little girl on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She poked out her own eye, chewed her skin raw, and bit her tongue until it bled. 5-year-old Gabby Gingras feels no pain. As someone who has no nerves to carry the pain signal from her skin to her brain, she's one of the rarest little girls in the country. There is also Ashlyn Blocker. Ashlyn walked over and put her hands on the muffler, on a car muffler. When she lifted them up, the skin was seared away. There was one story about the fire ants that swarmed her in the backyard, biting her over 100 times while she looked at them and yelled, "Bugs, bugs!" There was the time she broke her ankle and ran around on it for 2 days before her parents realized something was wrong. Here is a footnote reference to the story of Isaac Brown. He broke his pelvis and he did not know it. One day he was found pounding on a door with a piece of broken glass. No pain. He once put his hand on a hot stove burner. No pain. He had to be taught that blood is bad. Dr. Stephen Waxman, a leading researcher on this condition, blames the problem on mutation and says that probably just one gene out of 30,000 has been messed up. Can you imagine? Just one out of 30,000. Evolutionists should listen to themselves if they say a mutation is what causes this horrendous problem. And then watch them try to say with total belief in evolution that mutation is the miraculous process that gave us all good things. At the beginning of May in 2015, I hurt a vertebrae in my spine, Jim says, and was in bed for 2.5 weeks with excruciating pain. During that time, I was not thanking God for pain, actually, but I did think a lot about pain. You would think that with 2.5 weeks in bed, that I could get a hold of, that I could get a lot of reading and such done. Not actually. I could only think in a straight line for a few seconds at a time. Then the pain would return, and the only thing I could think of was how to adjust my body. This is the only thing he could think of, was how to adjust his body to alleviate some of the pain. Jim says he spent most of the time thinking about how to get out of pain, how to get out of pain, how to get out of pain. When you are in pain, it overrules everything else. Our ability to feel pain is phenomenal in its complexity. It is unbelievable in its accuracy. The sensitivity to the damage, vicinity, and seriousness of an injury is way better than you could imagine if you designed it yourself. There are several different pain receptors, but they, in fact, work together to report the intensity and severity of the damage that has been done. Your pain receptors are the most numerous. Every square centimeter of your skin contains around 200 pain receptors, but only 15 receptors for pressure, 6 for cold, and 1 for warmth. Wow, think about that. 200 receptors for pain in a square centimeter, each one of them connected to the brain. There are 2 different types of nerve cells lined up, end to end, that report pain to your brain. They even use completely different types of pathways to get to your brain. 2 different centers in your brain do the interpretation of the pain signals. The conscious perception of pain probably takes place in the thalamus and lower centers. Interpretation of the quality of pain is probably the role of the cerebral cortex. In other words, you have more than one system in your body for reporting pain. Think about how 2 systems to accomplish the same function could have possibly evolved separately and accidentally. You have a backup system. Wow, so important. Pain travels through redundant pathways, ensuring to inform the subject, get out of this situation immediately. Without these attributes, the organism has no means to prevent or minimize tissue injury. Wow, backup system. That's God's love, right? Pain from the skin is transmitted through 2 types of nerve fibers. A delta fibers relay sharp, pricking types of pain, while C fibers carry dull aches and burning sensations. Pain impulses are relayed to the spinal cord, where they interact with special neurons that transmit signals to the thalamus and other areas of the brain. Wikipedia writers believe in evolution and make this statement in their article. Human awareness of painful stimuli is an evolutionary necessity to avoid injury and death. And Jim says, well, duh. Since it is necessary, then it must have evolved due to necessity. That's wrong, because mutation and natural selection are not driven by necessity, an intellectual concept, right? Okay. But just exactly how does the theory of evolution describe the development of your pain recognition system? I did not find any answers to my question, only a lot of descriptions of the history of pain research. Evolution says there must have been a slow and gradual process of random mutations that were beneficial. So somehow a receptor for pain accidentally mutated into existence, and that was beneficial enough to spread all over our bodies and then be inherited to all mankind. But it's more complicated than that. It must have taken millions of more mutations before the nerve chain of hundreds or thousands of nerves developed to get the signal to our brains, which then somehow learned to recognize the signal as pain. How could pain receptors somehow mutate everywhere, completely covering our bodies? But somehow they did not cover our bodies equally, since certain areas have more receptors than others. Luckily, the most pain receptors are in exactly the places where we need them most. But the story is much more complicated yet again. There are actually four different types of pain receptors in the skin. So, how could that evolve? Four different types by accident. Skin nociceptors, or in other words, pain receptors, may be divided into four categories based on their function. The first type is termed high threshold mechanonociceptors or specific nociceptors. These nociceptors respond only to intense mechanical stimulation, such as pinching, cutting, or stretching. The second type is the thermal nociceptors, which respond to the above stimuli as well as to thermal stimuli, for example, heat or cold. The third type is chemical nociceptors, which respond only to chemical substances. A fourth type is known as polymodal nociceptors, which respond to high intensity stimuli such as mechanical, thermal, and to chemical substances like the previous three types. Polymodal nociceptors. There is a great amount of research and information available if you want to continue to study about pain. For example, scientists have been able to distinguish 22 degrees of just noticeable differences in applying heat to our skin. This article, as you can see, is just scratching the surface. Also, it's a fact your body has pain receptors everywhere, not only on your skin, but also in all of your joints, your arteries, and inside your body connected to all your various organs. There are different types of pain sensors in these areas as well. Did all this evolve slowly and gradually? Not likely. The distribution of pain receptors in the gastrointestinal mucosa apparently is similar to that in the skin. Thus, the mucosa is quite sensitive to irritation and other painful stimuli. Although the parenchyma of the liver, parenchyma of the liver, and the alveoli of the lungs are almost entirely insensitive to pain. The liver and bile ducts are extremely sensitive, as are the bronchi and parietal pleura. Okay. Let me highlight one more amazing ability we have, which defies evolution. Okay. Our reflexes. If you put your hand on a hot surface, you will pull it off immediately, even before the signal gets to your brain. Similar reflexes exist connected to all of our pain receptors. The neurons from our pain receptors to our brains all go through the spinal cord, but there is a short circuit process if the pain is intense. Wow. There are nerves directly from the spine to our muscles that make them pull away from any pain source. Our brain is just bypassed. Is there really a way for this to evolve slowly and gradually? Mm-mm. Nobody likes pain. But what an incredible blessing it is that we have the ability to feel it. If not, we would be constantly injuring ourselves in terrible ways and have really shortened lives. When we experience pain, we are strongly driven to do something about it and to get it to stop. Looking at the whole pain perceiving ability, it totally testifies to having been designed. For a related chapter, Jim says, read chapter 70 on healing, truth number 70 on healing. The process of healing is another total miracle that had to be designed. Okay, so Jim says there must be God. Wow, totally incredible. Okay, everybody, I thank you so much for listening in. And we thank you so much, Jim, for bringing this precious information to us. Yeah, lets us know that God loves us. Okay, all right, take care, everybody. Bye.